Good morning. Thank you very much for being patient with us. We're doing this live, also out there in the world on Facebook, and to all of our Monster producers. You do know we have over 200 people in Monster Producer, and they are literally all over the world, from Canada to Mexico. And so when we go live, they're watching us all over the world. So thank you for being patient as we got that up and going. I want to start with the belief statement, because when I wrote this book, Person of Interest, several years ago, out of all 13 books that I've written, a lot of people say this is their favorite. Because when you really get this concept we're going to talk about today, you will never chase business the rest of your life. And how many of us are taught to chase? Call 100 people a week. Hand out business cards to everybody. Right? You're basically in a supplicated position. You're basically in a supplicated position to somebody else, right? And so when you're thinking about this, you're the seller and they're the buyer. You're the seller and they're the buyer. And I believe the buyer always has an advantage over the seller in many transactions. Right, Monty? Amen. Now let me tell you why. Tonight I'm going to look at a real estate property, and I'm looking at that property to use it as a business. Okay? I'm the buyer versus the seller. And the reason is I have the resources. I have the money. So when I have the money, I'm making a decision if I want to exchange that money for that property. Everybody follow me here? So who's got the advantage when it comes to negotiating this? You do. Unless the person who owns the property says, here's the price, you can take it or leave it. Right or wrong? Right. This is why when you're negotiating with people of higher status or who have a lot of money, they can walk away from the deal because they don't need the money. But in this scenario, if they want to sell it and I got the money, I'm the buyer versus the seller. Everybody with me here? Well, when you get person of interest, what I'm going to teach you today, that's what happens in your sales career. Is the demand is chasing you. You have the supply. All right? And because of the demand, they want you. They want to do business with you. They're chasing you. You are now the buyer versus the seller. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Man, I wish I'd have learned that a long time ago. Because for my first 8 years of my business, I did a lot of chasing. Chasing, trying to convince, trying to sell, trying to do this. And then I made up my mind one day that I'm only looking for people who are looking for me. That I will not chase anything anymore. If I feel myself starting to chase, have to manipulate, convince, continue to sell somebody on something they don't want, I stop. And I go, you know what? You may not want what I've got, but somebody else will. Everybody with me here? And so what I'm trying to do is get you to flip the script. Because can we agree that we believe the same things? Do we all in this room believe that status sells? Yes or no? Yes. The people who have the highest status in any market make the most money. The people who get the most attention make the most money. So just remember, money always follows attention. Everybody with me last night? So if you're not hitting your sales number, what's that a clear indicator to me? Right out of the gate. Ashlyn, what's that telling me? That's right. You're chasing and you ain't getting enough attention for your business. And never make a mistake. We are all day trading for attention. Right? I was on multiple podcasts last night. I did a podcast with the drummer of Jason Aldean's drummer. He's been his drummer for 18 years. And so I went down and did that podcast at 6 o'clock last night because he has access to thousands of people that follow him in the artist world. I don't have access to that group. But I did last night. Because I got access from him. You follow me here? And so he had status. And you know how he had status? He writes his own books. He plays drums for some of the biggest people in the world. He has his own podcast. He has his own drumsticks. So what he's done is he's not only said, I'm a drummer who's backstage, and Aldean's the real star, and I'm back here as a drummer, he's actually become his own brand. So in a few weeks, he's got his own band camp where little drummers from all over the world were coming to get trained by him. You follow me here? So a lot of times when you're not selling enough, it's because your status is low. And your status is low because you can't get enough attention. And you can't get enough attention because there's nothing unique or special about what you got right now. Everybody follow me here? So we're commoditized. So part of becoming a person of interest is elevating your status. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that. How do you think I elevate my status? Give me some examples. Jason Wilbert, how do I elevate status? Okay, associations I have. So on Monday, I'm flying down to Florida for Grant Cardone and I to kick off a partnership together. So I'll be in Miami with him. He's got access to millions of people. I partnered with him so we can do something together. What will that do for me with his audience? Raise my status. I'm doing all kinds of affiliate deals right now where they have something that I don't have, right? And I got something that they don't have, so we're partnering to raise each other's status. Everybody follow me here. So what do I do to raise status? I write books. I have podcasts, I go on television, I do events. So you're saying, I'm not in the motivation business, coach. I'm in the home warranty business. You know what I would tell you? I would be doing everything I'm currently doing. Everything I'm currently doing is what you need to be doing, right? I looked at Rich last night during that podcast and I said, if I was coaching you, I'd give you a big fat 10 because you're doing everything you need to be doing to be a person of interest. Got your own books, got your own podcasts, got your own shows, right? You need to be doing that too. Every person in this room needs to write their own book. Every person in this room needs to have their own podcast. Every person in this room needs to have their own YouTube channel. Why? Elevate status. And part of being a person of interest is raising status. Everybody follow me here. Money follows what? Tell me again. Attention. So if you're not hitting your sales goals, you're not getting any attention. If you're not getting any attention, you're not getting any leads. If you're not getting any leads, you're not getting enough opportunity. Money follows attention. Okay? So that's the concept today is we're going to show you how to drive up your status. So what is a person of interest? Here's a person of interest right here. A person of interest is an expert. Notice I didn't say flunky. Notice I didn't say decent person. Notice I didn't say like an average person. I said a person of interest is a what, Jenny? An expert. That other people are seeking out a relationship with. So if I were measuring your person of interest score today, right? If Jason come to me and said, Coach, I want to measure my person of interest score, what measurements do you think I would have? I'd ask number one, how many incoming leads are you getting? How many people are calling your office and say, I want to work with you? How many people are asking you to coffee, right? That's how you measure your person of interest score is incoming demand. Outgoing demand is where you're calling them. You're trying to convince them. Incoming demand is, I want to know how many people called our office this week that just asked for a piece of my time. Right? How many people want me to be on their podcast? How many people want me to write articles for their blogs? How many people want me to speak? How many people want to partner with us? And if that number is very low, guess what I know? I'm not a person of interest. We used to have a little cheer when I was in elementary school. I don't know if they still have this one because it's pretty bad, but it was U-G-L-Y, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. Y'all remember that one? They probably won't let them do that today. But here's, I look at a lot of businesses, and here's what I say. Right now, your business is ugly. You know how I know your business is ugly? Because you ain't getting any leads. So your status is low. Now, here's the good thing. We can make your business pretty. Okay? We can make it more attractive. But right now, it's not in a good position. It's not healthy enough. So how do I define a healthy business? One of my monsters tell me. A healthy business is what? When it gives you something. What does it give you? Money left over. That's right. A healthy business is when at the end of the month, you have excess cash after you have paid yourself and paid everybody else and paid your taxes. If you do not have any leftover money at the end of the month for you to reinvest, then your business ain't healthy enough yet. Everybody follow me? So month to month, making it month to month with no money left over tells me your business is not healthy enough. You're not getting enough leads. You're not getting enough leads because why? Status is not high enough. So you could be the best person in Nashville, the best person in, I was in Houston this week, best person in Houston. It don't matter if nobody knows it, right? So a person that uses their unique skill set and abilities to solve a problem for other people. Now this is critical, and I'm going to have you write this down for yourself. What makes a person of interest? How many people when they were growing up read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People? Everybody ever heard of that book? A lot of people that have been successful said at some point in their life they read Dale Carnegie or they went to a Dale Carnegie class. Anybody remember what the genesis of that book was about? Like what was Dale Carnegie teaching us? The number one thing was how to be interested in other people, right? And he gave you all these techniques and tactics. When you meet a person and they have a dog, what do? You get down on one knee and you pat the dog. And you meet and greet and say hi and you have a firm handshake and you ask about their life. Well, when I wrote Person of Interest, I said, yes, you do need to be interested in other people, But what if you became an interesting person? What if you actually became such an interesting person that other people wanted to spend time with you? So what do interesting people do? They live interesting lives. They go to interesting places. They hang around interesting people. They typically make interesting money. They do interesting things. Everybody follow me here? Okay, and it's like, hey, I want to know more about that person because that cat is very interesting. Like, I am interested in them. So what do we do about them? We read their books. We study their lives. Why do you think Robin Leach made a fortune with Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? Because we want to know what the inside of some of those houses look like, right? I live across the street from one of the founders of NHC, and his house is 25,000 square feet. And there's two of them that live there. And so I called him one day out of the blue, and I said, man, I got to come see your crib. Will you let me come in and just sit around and talk to you? Because you know what happens when you're walking around a house 25,000 square feet in Murfreesboro, Tennessee? You know what your mind is doing? Oh my gosh. Got his own bowling alley, his own indoor basketball court, his own tennis court, his own big swimming pool, his own atrium. And I'm sitting there going, man, this is just so cool. But that's interesting because you know what? It's uncommon. Everybody with me? If you want to cheapen anything, make it common. If you want to cheapen anything, make it common, okay? So I want to stop right here and I want you to think about this. The way you become a person of interest is you cultivate a strong, what's called a unique ability. This is a Dan Sullivan term, is you create a very specific, so I want you to think of a very skill set. In essence, you become known or famous for that skill set. There are people out there in the world who are absolutely willing to pay a lot of money for it. Because you have something that is what? Unique. So in a few weeks we're having Chris Voss on our podcast, I think next week. Chris Voss is the #1 hostage negotiator for the FBI and has been for 20 years in the United States. So there's like X number of thousands of FBI agents. He was the #1 lead negotiator of all of those people. So he is the guy, right? So now he's written a book called Never Split the Difference. Now he's teaching at Harvard and Georgetown. Now he's on the speaking circuit. He's no longer the negotiator. Now he's telling other people how he negotiated. And I'm talking about high pressure, hostage situation. Somebody could die, life or death. We're talking like David Koresh, 1993, Waco, Texas. Everybody remember that? I mean, these are very intense situations. Well, his status is very high. You with me? So if I wanted to learn negotiation, what do I start doing? I start Googling who is the #1 negotiator in the world. This guy pops up. Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. Professor at Georgetown and Harvard University, right? #1 negotiator. See, all those things are building his status, right? If I wanted him to come here and speak, it'd probably be $100,000 for me to get him here to speak. You know why? Because he's got a very unique skill set. So we got a lot of real estate agents in here. You got to quit thinking of yourself. Insurance agents, I'm just an insurance agent, I'm just a realtor. You got to start thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur that's got a very specialized skill set, almost like a heart surgeon. And I have something that is very valuable, and there are people out here who are dying to have it, and who would pay good money for it? Everybody with me? But here's the problem. You're not going to become a person of interest until you figure this out. Yes or no? See, if all you got is the same thing everybody else has got, why do I need you? When two opinions are the same, one of those opinions is unnecessary. Yes or no? So what I'm looking for is for you to think, this is my special skill set. So let me give an example. I was doing an interview for our intern this morning. She's like, what's your special skill set, coach? Like, what makes you different? And I said, well, for over a decade, I was a high school women's basketball coach. So I have the intensity of a coach. You know, like a real, pure, raw, relentless spirit, like a coach would have. But then I have a business mindset, like an entrepreneur. I see everything in assets and liabilities. And I put those two things together to make Coach Burt. Does that make sense? So your special comes from what? Your past. Everything that makes you unique comes from your past. Okay? So it's like, why should I use Kim? Well, Kim has this unique background. She's worked at 4 different jobs. She learned these 3 things along the way. And because she learned these, she had these 2 struggles in life. What she's really done is kind of the mixture of all those ingredients of her past. And now Kim is a specialist because of her past. That's why we need her. I'm actually paying you for your past to help me build my future. Everybody follow me here. What if I went to a company in Houston and said, you know what, I'd love to be here. I'm excited about being here. And I lost more games as a women's basketball coach than anybody in Tennessee, but I'm going to show you how to win today. Right? The past makes it unique. So I want to stop right here. I want you to ask yourself and tell the person beside you, if I had to pin you down right now and say, you got to give me what your specialized skill set is, what is it? And it cannot be a commodity, i.e. you can't say relationship builder. You can't say your experience. You can't say you're good with people because the 70s called, they need their phrases back. Okay? You can't use anything. You got to say, based on my unique experiences and my unique past, I have really developed 1 or 2 very unique skills. And it's this right here. So what is that? Because, listen, there's no hope in becoming a person of interest until you know this. Yes or no? Because if not, we're just selling a commodity. We're selling a house, we're selling insurance, we're selling a warranty. We're selling something that I can get anywhere, right? I'm hiring you for a very specific reason. What is that reason? Why is money leaving my pocket and coming to you? Take a second and tell the person beside you what you think it is. All right. Okay. Now let me ask you this question. Was that hard for anybody? Absolutely. So how many classes did you have in school in finding what makes you unique and special in the world? To this day, I am still paying college debt. I went to college for 9 years to pursue 3 degrees, over 400 hours of college credit, and I did not have one class in finding what made me unique in the world. Now, I want you to think about that. To this day, I still have a $600 a month loan payment that I'm paying on student debt. I'm 40 years old. Not one class in how to become a person of interest in the world. Not one. Okay? So if you have children, if you notice this Sunday, I was teaching my daughter how to sell. We built our lemonade stand. We took her to an event, and we had her sell lemonade at a price. I even taught her how to upsell. It's pretty cool. She's only 4.5 years old, so I was very impressed. And she would sell lemonade, and then she'd ask if they want a lemon bar, and that was an upsell, right? And I was telling her, teaching her the difference between profit and loss. If you make it for $1 and you sell it for $2, how much did you make? And she said $3, and I said, well, we ain't figured that part out yet, but you see what I'm saying? I like your numbers. But I am very, very focused on teaching my daughter these things, how to become a person of interest, because if there's a class she needs to know, it's how to find her talents early in life, how to accelerate those talents, how to nurture those talents. But here's the big one, how to package and sell those talents. This is one of the number one things people come to me for. I got this idea, I got this, but I don't know how to package and sell it. Packaging is anything the consumer can feel, touch, taste, see. All this is my ideas in book form. It all started in my brain. You with me? But not only do we sell it in a book, we sell it in programs, we sell it in podcasts, we sell it in licensing deals, we sell it on television, we sell it a lot of different ways. So what you got to become good at is, what do I have? And you're not bragging. I know we live in the South. The first thing out of your mouth is, well, I was taught not to brag. I feel like I'm bragging. If you can't tell me what your value is, who's going to tell me? Right? Who's going to, is it my job to figure out what your value is, or is it your job to tell me? This is what marketing is. Marketing, listen, if you want to break marketing down, it is we have something very special, and we're going to let people know who are willing to pay for it. That's all marketing is. But if you don't know this part right here, you can't push it to the people who would pay for it. So what are a lot of people selling? Well, I work hard. Well, I hustle. Well, I'm a good relationship builder. Well, I'm disciplined. You understand what I'm saying? That's what they're selling. And what I'm saying is, what else have you got? That's it? Everybody works hard. Everybody hustles. Everybody's a relationship builder. So I need a little bit more. Ethan, if you're going to be my financial advisor, I need to know that there's more to this equation than just you're going to work hard on my behalf. I need to know you have a special concept, a special process. You have a unique way of leveraging money that nobody else has figured out. You've studied the best brains in the world on how they make money. You can guarantee me a 10% return on everything. Does that make sense? You got to bring something special to the equation. And until you know this, you're going to have a very difficult time being a person of interest, because you're just selling the same thing everybody else is selling. So there's nothing special, right? So notice how I knocked out the commodity words. What are commodities? That means everybody's heard it. Everybody's heard relationship builder. If I see one more bank put up another billboard that says we have a relationship bank, I promise I will climb up there and tear that thing down myself. Because I'm riding down the road going, come on. Surely, to goodness, we can come up with something better than that. Surely there's more to this equation than you just got a couple relationship. Because the next bank says the exact same thing you just said, right? So that's commoditization. Okay? Now, think of this too. How many of you have ever been with a big-time person of interest and you remembered how they made you feel? Okay? So I want you thinking like this. When I'm with you, I feel better about me. If I don't feel better about me when I'm with you, guess what? I ain't coming back for round 2. So people of interest have an uncanny ability to make other people feel like they can do anything, like they're not judged. They have the unique ability to take low resources to high resources, to transform people's lives. People of interest are so talented at what they do that they know my skill set is helping you do this, this, and this, right? And there's nobody else in the world who can do it better than me. And that's not bragging, right? If this guy comes on here and says, I'm the number one negotiator in the world, it's because he is the number one negotiator in the world, right? That's not bragging, right? When I won a championship, I was the number one coach in Tennessee. That's just a fact, okay? So if you think here's what I say about people. Insecure people always have a problem with confident people. Yes or no? Insecure people see confident people as bragging. Confident people recognize confidence in other people. Like when I met that drummer last night from Aldean's deal, I was like, man, I love this guy. He was so confident. His energy was contagious. And man, we had a battle for 45 minutes of just energy versus energy. We got done, we just gave each other a big old hug because it was a great exchange. Does that make sense? So I would see people, they go, man, that guy's arrogant. Man, he's so arrogant. And I'd say, he's not arrogant. He's confident. He's only arrogant because you're insecure. Right? So you recognize that in people. Are people of interest confident? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. They're confident. They're not insecure. So think of a person of interest as a must-have versus a nice-to-have. How do you know if you're a nice-to-have? Nice-to-haves always get cut. When budgets come around, it's like, we love you, but we got to let you go. Right? If you're having to negotiate for a lot of time and energy and constantly resell your value to people, it could be because they're seeing you as a nice-to-have versus a must-have. Every contract you're in will be up for negotiation at some point. Right? And you're either, I got to have her, or we can do without her. When budgets get cut, and they always do, who goes first? The nice-to-haves always go first. You with me? And sometimes I've said, look, I'll get rid of a lot of things, but I ain't getting rid of that person right there. So we will find a way to keep them. You follow what I'm hearing? And you want to be that person they're saying that about, okay? If you're like me, every year I'm renegotiating contracts. And typically that starts as early as August and September. And the only way a company will bring me back to work with them another year is if I can show them I can help them make more money. Right? If I can't show them I can make them more money, they're like, look, we love you, but you got to go. Okay? We can love you and you still got to go. Okay? So this is big. All right, now, I want you to think in your mind about if I pegged you down today and I said, you got to become famous for something in the world. You got to become famous for something. Now, we live outside of Nashville. I was in Nashville yesterday, and Nashville is known for famous people, right? Did they all start famous, yes or no? No. How many of you know somebody that started as just a little flunky playing on Broadway and ended up being famous? I do. Somebody that was paying for $41 a night and now plays for $4 million a night. Do you realize that Tootsie's Orchid Lounge and Bridgestone are just less than 100 yards away from each other? I want you to think about that. But in their mind, how far is it? Sometimes I say the biggest problem with you is in your mind, it's millions of miles away. It's right across the street. If you become good enough, become a person of interest, you'll play for $4 million a night, not $41 a night. It's literally right across the street. Some of these people will do it. So I want you to think right now, is it not true that the people in your industry that make the most money are famous for something? Yes or no? Now, I want you to think, what are they famous for? Are they famous for results? Are they famous for association? Are they famous because of numbers? Are they famous because of a skill set? What made them a person of interest? Okay? And every one of them. Like if I just took real estate and I said, what made that agent famous? Well, that agent can negotiate better than anybody else can. That agent can flip a deal faster than anybody else can. That agent is more visible in the community than anybody else is. They're all famous for like one thing, right? So I want you to think about this. Okay, if I said you got to become famous for something, what is it? What are you going to become known for in this world? Okay, what is your one thing you're going to hang your hat on? This is your life's mission, right? And I mentioned earlier that I heard a pastor once say that there were good funerals and bad funerals. That he was constantly called to eulogize at funerals. And he said, good funerals are at the end of a person's life. He sat with the family and they laughed and they cried and they laughed and they cried. And there were so many stories of impact that he had to condense all those stories down to a few sentences to eulogize that person appropriately. He said, now that's a good funeral. Bad funerals are, we don't have anything to say. They haven't done anything. They haven't impacted anybody. They didn't become known for anything. Then I got to get up there and figure out what I'm going to say about this person. Now think about those two things. Isn't that a powerful statement? The reason I'm building greatness factories right now, guys, is because when I'm dead, I can't keep speaking. I got to have something that lives beyond me. I got to have something that goes on that I build, that's unique in the world. That's my legacy. You follow me here? I asked my daughter one day, you want to run Daddy's greatness factories? She's like, no thanks, Dad. Like, thanks. I'm working on her, though. But here's my point. I don't know what your legacy is going to be, but what are you going to become known for? What did Vanderbilt become known for? What did Rockefeller become known for? Right? What did Henry Ford become known for? What did all these people become known for? They became known for something. They become famous for something. Okay? So let's look at this. When you think about the whole person, I want to show you a little bit about reputational capital. Who could define reputational capital for me? What does reputational capital mean? What does that mean, reputational capital? Is there a quantitative value to reputation, yes or no? Yes. Qualitative means I can't measure it. Quantitative means I can measure it. There is a quantitative value to your reputational capital. So reputational capital, this is a fancy definition for it, quantitative measure of an entity's reputational value in some context. Right? So the quantitative value of a real estate agent is 6%. Right? Your quantitative value right now is how much do you make per hour. If you were looking at how many hours you work versus, right, how much your hour's worth, that's your quantitative value. How do we drive up that value? Monty, if I came to you and said, look, I need to drive up my perceived value in the market because I want to charge more for my speaking engagements, what would you tell me I need to do? Because it's all perception, yes or no? How many people have met people that have marketed themselves into being people of interest that are not that good? See, I love coaching some of these little country music singers. Here's what they'll say to me. Luke Bryan, he can't sing at all. He cannot sing at all. And I'm like, well, he's worth $50 million, and you're worth $1,000, okay? So he's figured something out that you ain't figured out. Yes or no? Yes. His perceived value is much greater than yours. It don't matter if he can sing or not. That's what the guy was telling me last night with engineering today. You don't even have to be able to sing that good because of vocal engineering. You understand what I'm saying? You can manufacture this. You could manufacture your own person of interest score. So how would I do it? Monty, what would you tell me if you were coaching me?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, keep doing what I'm doing because what? We need to get more followers, more eyeballs, right? More views, more exposure. You follow me? What I need to do is I need to go out there and be visible more to raise my status. That raises my perceived value in the market. Everybody follow me? So what are practical things a person can do? Like what could a person, and it's like, what could you do to raise your status today? What would be some credibility indicators you could add? This is the audience participation part.
Being here.
Being of interest, yes or no?
Yes.
I tell a lot of people the reason you need to be in person of interest is the reason you need to be a monster producer because of status. There you go. Write your own book. Now, could every person in this room write a book, yes or no? You guys do realize that a book is just a Word document. You understand what I'm saying? Word document packaged up as a PDF made pretty by a graphic designer. You do realize that. Sometimes I've written a book in a day, in 2 hours. Okay, it don't have to be a big book. You're not writing War and Peace. Okay, you can just you can sit down and write a book of 5,000 words. Now, you wrote your own book in the heating and cooling business, right? Why would you write a book versus have a business card? How much, he's got a book on Amazon. When he goes to see a customer, he can leave that book. Is that more powerful than leaving a business card, yes or no? Yes. Every person should write their own book. You say, well, I couldn't do that, I can't do that. Have you read all the crappy books that are out there in the world? Just go over to Barnes & Noble and pick one up and say, how did this get in here, right? It ain't that hard, guys. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, right? Somebody come to me the other day and said, man, your book's got all kind of errors in it. I said, how many books have you written? None? Okay then, shut it up, right? Zip it up. When you write a book, you come back and tell me how many errors I got in my book. I mean, right or wrong, yes or no? Of course it's got errors in there because I'm a flawed person, okay? So for you, the reason I'm trying to tell you this is because if I don't have anything that separates me, the books, the videos, the podcasts, the interviews, you understand what I'm saying? If you think I want to be doing podcast interviews on a Monday night at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, you're wrong. I don't want to be doing those at that time. But guess what? That's when people watch them. You follow me? When I was writing my book, my publisher, my agent said, you got to do a Facebook Live every night at 8 o'clock for 2 straight weeks. And he said, I don't care if you like it or not. Suck it up, Buttercup. You're doing it. You know why? We sell more books that way. Everybody follow me. But what if you go on Facebook Live and you don't have anything valuable to say? Could you actually drive down your brand value? Yes or no? So I want you to think about this, is that you're actually driving up. Let me see if I can show you. You're actually doing things that either drive up your brand or you're driving down your brand. Okay? So every action you take, every interaction you have with another person. So here's the stats. Set of Princeton experiments found this, that a person sums up a stranger the first time they meet them in less than 1/10 of a second. If you make a bad first impression, it takes 21 positive interactions to overcome the first negative one. How many of y'all have ever had a bad first impression with a person? And you've never forgotten it, no matter how many times you see them? Right? No matter how nice they are after that, what do you always remember? Man, I remember when they were rude to me. I remember when they treated me like that. I remember this. So here's the bad news. If you do make a bad first impression, look at what the stats tell us. Significant exposure to that person over a long period of time never changes the first initial impression. That sucks, doesn't it? Because what if you had a bad day? What if you walked in with a bad attitude? What if your energy was low that day? Some of you sell over the phone, and you got just a very short period of time, and what if it was a bad first impression? Your energy was low? I talk to people all day on the phone, and I want to know, hey, what's wrong with your energy, man? Your energy's low. Why is your energy not high? You've been trying to get on my schedule for 4 weeks, and you got on the schedule, and I'm trying to see if you're dead or alive here on the phone. Right? Do you want my business or not want my business? Is this a positive or is this a negative? So for you, part of being a person of interest is understanding how to make good first impression. Yes or no? How to articulate your value. Okay? Now, so let's look at this. So here's brand damage as it relates to your person of interest score. Here's brand damage. Bad first impression kills you. What about this one? A lack of follow through or follow up. What do people associate with that? What are words? Lazy. What if you get on Facebook and whine, pout, and complain all the time? What do people sum you up as? That's right. This morning I was reading in the Bible, Jesus, when he's first picking the 12 disciples, he's sitting there talking to Simon Peter, and he's asking him to go out and do his fishing. The first thing out of his mouth was he whined about it. Do I really have to go? I've been out fishing all night, and I didn't have anything. I'm surprised Jesus didn't backhand him. You understand what I'm saying? Because here, you understand what I'm saying here? I mean, look, that's the first thing out of Simon's mouth is, I've been fishing all night and I didn't catch anything. You really want me to go out there and do it again? See this? How many people do you interact with in a day? That's their interaction with you. I've interviewed people before and they spend 45 minutes talking about how much they hated their last boss. Is that a good impression or a bad impression? You understand what I'm saying? I've done deals with people where they sit there and talk about they're frustrated from the last deal. Oh, you wouldn't believe what this last person just made me do. I had to show 17 houses and man, it's hot and I'm sweating. And then they show up and they're telling me that. What am I thinking? It's over. You're out. Ain't got time for this. Okay? So lack of follow through, poor disposition, inability to convey constructive feedback. What if you get pegged as you can't give you feedback? What if every time we try to give you feedback, your defense attorney shows up? Right? And look at this one. What is the lifetime loss of an unhappy client multiplied by the lifetime loss of referability? So some of you, we tell you that every referral should be worth how many referrals? 5.7. Most people are going to do deals 4 to 6 times, so multiply the loss of 5.7, right, plus 4 other deals, and put your commission beside that and see how much money you lose. Okay? That's the cost of this. All right, so let's get to some good stuff here. Let's look at what ingredients a person of interest has, and I'm going to let you work on a little bit of this. So when I wrote this book, here's what I asked. What ingredients does a person of interest have? How many of you guys are good cooks in the room? Okay, so we got some good cooks, right? So Kristen, let me ask you this question. Is it important when you're cooking that you have all of the correct ingredients? What if you miss one ingredient? Can it mess up the whole thing? I want you to think about a person of interest as having these ingredients. If you are lacking just one, it can mess up the whole thing. Everybody follow me? So when I study people of interest at the top of their game, these are the ingredients they have. Specific knowledge. Not general knowledge, specific. Specialized skill. Where does a specialized skill come from? I want you thinking like this. There is nobody in Nashville, Tennessee who can do it like this person. There's only one person you call. One. It's this one. Why would I call him? Unique ability, specialized skill. With me? Famous for something. Everybody going here with me, okay? Desire. What good is it to have knowledge and skill with no desire? What do we call those people? Lazy. I hear this all the time. This is not a compliment when somebody says, you got so much potential. That's actually not a compliment, because potential means unrealized manifestation of kinetic energy. You follow me here? If I said, Big Kahuna, man, you got all the potential in the world, big guy. I know you're only, I know you're in your 40s, and I know someday you're going to reach it. Good luck, big guy, right? That wouldn't be a compliment to him. Right? So desire is, give me a good definition of desire. Willingness to do inconvenient things. Willingness to do things other people are not willing to do. That's desire. Effort, what do you put in? What about confidence? Are people of interest confident, yes or no? Yes. Confidence is the memory of success. What if you hadn't had any success in the last 90 days? How confident are you? How many classes did you have in confidence, by the way? In the next few months, we're going to teach you I want to teach you confidence as a science. How to build it, how to maintain it, how to protect it. Okay? What takes years to build up can take seconds to tear down, right or wrong? Okay? Likability, energy, connectivity, both socially and in groups. How can I connect? Okay? Can you connect to a person wearing a $5,000 suit? Can you connect to a farmer? That's connectivity. I call it good for all time zones. Right? Deep networks, entrenched. That means you can call on a lot of people. Deep networks. And then look at this one. This is actually my favorite one. How many people used to buy Cracker Jacks for the little prize in there? That's a guy who used to buy baseball cards, not for the cards, but for the bubble gum. It's a little something extra in there, right? Well, I want you to think about it like this. What I have found with people of interest is they have something that is in addition to the sale. That something could be something tangible, like i.e., I get you, plus I get this. And I didn't expect it. I get you, and I get this. So it's not just a transaction. That means I can discard you when this is over. There's a whole lot more to this equation than just a transaction. Everybody with me? It may be your knowledge. It may be your skill. It may be your desire. It may be your confidence. The free prize is like an extra thing I get on top of everything else, right? Everybody with me? I want you to take a second. I want you to look at this, and I want you to tell the person beside you, if I'm missing or lacking in any area of this person of interest prism, and if you look to the person beside you and you say, boy, I'm just not likable at all, see me after the break. Because we got a lot of work to do with you. Most unlikable people don't know they're not likable, by the way. Okay? So tell the person beside you, look, I realize that I'm missing in this area. If you ask me what am I missing in, I think we could do a much better job of my company in this one. It's a big world, and there's a lot of people we can help. I think sometimes we can do a better job of selling this, all the extras you get from getting our programs. So there's areas that I'm deficient in that we can do much better in, okay? So what's the area you think you're missing in right now? Because once you get all 8 or 9 of these, guess what? How attractive are you to the world when you get all these? Let me tell you what's going to happen. Your door is going to be busting down with people wanting to do business with you when you have all of these ingredients. Trust me. It's going to be a recipe for some serious success, okay? Take a second, tell the person beside you. What do you think you're lacking right now? There's a number of people in the back that Now, here's the good news. Here's the good news. People ask me all the time, is this nature? Is it nurture? Do some people just have the it factor and some people don't? Well, if you've ever met a person of interest, you know they've worked their lifetime to have the it factor. Does that make sense? They didn't cultivate it overnight. It is through consistent, ongoing practice in a very specialized area that you look at them and go, the it factor just means, man, they got it. They got some swag, right? The it factor means, man, they're good. Well, they become good through what? Ongoing, systematic practice. Okay? So let me close us out with this. And listen, this could be a whole day workshop alone. You do get this, right? This is a big concept to unpack in 55 minutes. The biggest thing I want you to take away from today is that you have something very unique, and that is what you're selling. You are not selling any of the commodities that you're selling. I don't even care what you're selling. You're selling something that is very specific. And that is why people are transferring money to you. Until you know it, you're not going to be a person of interest. Your status is going to be low because the world is going to see you as a commodity, right? If you'll go to work on these ingredients, you'll drive up your person of interest score. All social media does is amplify who you really are. Everybody with me? That's all social media does. It just allows you. Yesterday when I did those podcasts, I think they had 4,000 to 5,000 views within a few hours. Could anybody in the room take 5,000 meetings within 2 hours? Yes or no? So the power of social media allows us to take who we really are and push it out to the market and connect with a lot more people. And we cannot do that individually. So once you know what it is you got, now it's a matter of how we distribute that to the world in as many ways as we can so people go, boy, I like this person. I'm interested in them. They are a person of interest, okay? So why do we become a person of interest? Close with this. Mother Teresa was in a hospital in La Jolla, California. She had been in, I think it was Mexico, right across the border, and she had contracted several diseases, and she came across the border to California and La Jolla to get treated. When you go to the hospital, who is typically the person of interest? The doctor, because they're an expert, right? But when Mother Teresa showed up, guess who the person of interest was? They were actually fighting and arguing over who would be her doctor. That's how bad they wanted to serve her because of her status. So she was there for 26 days. Doctor after doctor comes in, tells her what she needs to do, and she says, look, if I'm going to be here for 26 days and you guys are going to serve me, there's going to be an exchange here. I'm going to post a letter on the outside or a list on the outside of the hospital door that every person that serves me will also commit to going across the border and serving those people for free. And one by one, every single doctor signed up to go across the border to help those people for free because Mother Teresa asked them to. Don't mistake why you want to be a person of interest. It ain't because of the money you can make or the fame you can have. The reason you want to be a person of interest is because of how many people you can help on the planet. The higher your person of interest score, the more people listen when you talk. Everybody follow me here. That is the moral reason why you want to be a person of interest. All the other stuff will come along with it. The fame, the money, all of that is a byproduct of you becoming so valuable in the world that other people want a piece of what you got. Everybody with me? Has this been valuable for you today? I want to thank you for coming with us today. I've got to step over and do another video podcast to a group in Huntsville, Alabama, but I do want to say something about one of my special people of interest. This lady here runs most of my operations, and if you know me, I'm a control freak, so that's a big deal for me to hand off these things, okay? But she has her own new book out called A Lady in Waiting, and I am so proud of her for practicing what we preach. I want all the people in my company to become people of interest. You with me? There's enough to go around for everybody. So Takesha, in her role as a director of operations, written her own book. She's been out on her own book tour. She's been out there doing a lot. My wife and I wrote the foreword of this book because we believe in her. So listen, if you don't think you can do it, just see her. She'll tell you. She'll say, look, this is how you become a person of interest, right? This is how you raise your credibility. This is how you become valuable in the world, okay? So will you give her a hand and congratulate her on that? Okay. All right, she's going to close you off. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Listen, I'm so thankful for every person in this room. One thing I love about seeing Garth Brooks in concert is how much he appreciates his people that he works with. You ever been to that? I love coaching people who are hungry, guys. I love it more than anything in the world. And just the fact that you showed up and we're packed today means the world to me. So don't ever not think that I don't appreciate you, because it does my heart good to be able to come in and deliver my content. And people that read my books, it just changes everything for me. So God bless you. Takesha will close you out. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Thank you. Is that my water?